We are studying BSOC 132, Sociology of India, Block 1, India as a Plural Society. Unit 3, we are going to study about tribe. The term tribe originates from the Latin word tribus. You see, it has come from the Latin word, and the Latin word is tribus. So, tribe has come from the Latin word tribus, meaning an inhabited, you see, place. Tribes are social groups, you see, that claim descent from a common ancestor and are distinct from caste in India. You see, under colonial rule, the term categorized communities based on differences in size, language, culture, and living conditions. After independence, the Constitution of India recognized specific groups as scheduled tribes. Tribes are often referred to as, you see, Adivasi, first settlers, Vanvasi, forest dwellers, or Janjati, folk people. Now, we find in our country for jobs also, government jobs also, there is a quota for scheduled tribes. You see, they give preference to them. Suppose, you see, out of 100, they will keep 10% vacancies for, you see, scheduled tribe, 5% vacancies for scheduled tribe. Those people who are belonging to this, you see, they can apply, they can write in their form, I am belonging to scheduled tribe, so that concession will be given. Like physically handicapped also, they get some concession for government jobs. WHR Rivers defined tribes as simple social groups with a shared dialect, single government, and collective purposes like warfare. According to the 2011 census of India, you see, population counting, there are 705 scheduled tribes across 30 states in our country. In 30 states in our country, there are 705, you see, scheduled tribes. Key characteristics of tribes in India: defined territory. Tribes live within a specific topographical area, fostering shared language, lifestyle, and community bonds. Sense of unity. Unity is essential for tribal survival, particularly in times of peace and conflict. Endogamy. Tribes traditionally marry within their group, though inter-tribal marriages are becoming, you see, more common. You see, one, you see, suppose the male is, you see, belong to one tribe, female is belong to another tribe. So, inter-tribal marriages, you see, are becoming more common. Normally, you see, the marriages are conducted in the same, you see, same tribe. Common language. A shared dialect strengthens unity within the, you see, tribe. Their language is common. So, that gives them strength, unity. You see, the language is same. So many, you see, people belong to the tribe, say one tribe, you see, they speak the same language. So it gives them strength, unity. Kinship bonds, blood relations form the foundation of tribal solidarity. You see, protective awareness. Tribes protect themselves through a single political authority, often led by a chief and supported by tribal committees. You see, tribes protect themselves through a single political authority. You see, often led by a chief, you see. They take the help of political authority, you see, and it is headed by the chief and supported by tribal communities. Distinct political organization, tribal chiefs and committees manage internal governance and protect collective interests, shared culture. Tribes share language, religion, and traditions, fostering homogeneity. Egalitarian values, tribes uphold equality with minimal institutionalized disparities, though tribal chiefs may hold higher status. Simple religious beliefs, tribes follow rudimentary religions and believe in totems and myths. Socio-economic conditions of tribes in central India, in our country. What is the condition of tribes? Tribes in central India face challenges like poverty, land alienation, and resource loss. The central belt, comprising states like Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, and Odisha, houses four-fifths of India's tribal population. Four-fifths of India's tribal population is in Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, and Odisha. Despite rich natural resources, tribal communities remain marginalized due to displacement and poor access to services. The key issues are, land and resource alienation. Tribal communities, have lost access to land and forest due to government policies, development projects, and ineffective agrarian, reforms. There, they do in the villages, where they live. Say, for example, Adivasis, they do agriculture there, they do agriculture. Now, because of government policies, development projects are coming. So they have to shift themselves from their landlessness. The percentage of tribal households without agriculture land rose from 28% to 39%. It is old data. Now, it will be, more now. Customary rights ignored. Tribal rights over forest lands remain unrecognized despite historical ownership. So in this slide, we have studied, about land and resource alienation. Tribal communities have, lost access to land and forest due to government policies, government development projects, and ineffective, agrarian reforms. Still our agriculture, depends on rain. So that is why these tribal communities have lost access to land, and forest. Landlessness, the percentage of tribal households without, agriculture land, it is 28%. Then it rose to 39% in 2011-12. Now it must be more than that. Latest data is not available. Next is customary rights ignored. Tribal rights over forest lands remain unrecognized despite, historical ownership. Poverty and marginalization. Poverty among tribes is, you see, compounded by low asset ownership, poor literacy rates, and lack of healthcare. Women and children face additional disadvantages. You see, now they are, you see, very poor people. Their assets are, you see, very few assets they are owning, very few. Then literacy rates also are poor because this education also uh, they are not, you see, taking, they are not going to school. And lack of healthcare, and healthcare also they are, you see, ignoring health. And you see, at many places proper hospitals are not there, and many times, you know, they themselves neglect the health. Women and children face, you see, there are additional disadvantages for the women and the, you see, children. Economic exploitation. Tribals, you see, often sell forest and agriculture products at low prices due to middlemen. Now, in villages, you will find, you see, these people, they borrow money from money lenders for doing agriculture. Most of the time they borrow, you see, from banks, but sometimes they are unable to get it from the bank. Banks also, you see, earlier banks were not, you see, giving agriculture loans. You see, banks were entertaining to only rich people. Banks were owned by Tata Birla before 1969, and they used to entertain only rich people. And poor people were not getting, you see, money as a loan from the bank. They used to go to money lenders, and that money lenders used to charge them very heavy rate of interest. So many times, if they were unable to pay the interest principal, that money lender used to take away their land. So this way, they were losing a lot. In 1969, when during Indira Gandhi's, you see, government, these banks were, you see, nationalized. At that time, Bank of India, Central Bank, Punjab National Bank, Oriental Bank of Commerce, New Bank of India, then Union Bank of India, Bank of Maharashtra, then Allahabad Bank, United Commercial Bank, United Bank of India, then Indian Overseas Bank, Indian Bank, then United Commercial Bank, United Bank of India, then Vijaya Bank, Syndicate Bank. All these banks were, you see, nationalized. They were earlier belonging to the rich people, but then government purchased their 51% share, and these banks became the government banks. Now, what government did? Government sent their CMD, number one post in the bank, topmost post. Government sent their CMD. Government sent their executive directors, and below executive directors, those general managers, they were, you see, in the bank only. A person who has joined the bank as an officer, he can rise up to general manager like that. You see, by internal promotions, people used to get these posts. So now, when the government CMD was there, so he asked the CMDs to do the development. You see, of nearby areas of the branch. See, so whole our country was divided in districts. So each bank was given one district, that you are the in charge of banking here, and you have to see what is the potential in this village. You see what crop we can have. You see maximum quantity, and what are other, you see, professions which people can do. What is the other scope in the village? You see what are the natural resources available in the village. You see. So then banks, you see, after doing the survey of the entire, you see, district, lead bank, you see, after doing the survey of the entire district, they used to prepare the report. And then they used to produce this report to the Reserve Bank, you see, their head office, government. So that, you see, government can think of giving loan for those activities, you see. And then banks, government started, giving loan for agriculture, direct, indirect agriculture, retail trade, small business, professional self-employed people like chartered accountant, engineer, education loans. Those people who were, deprived of studies earlier, they were not given a chance to, study because their financial condition was not good. Parents were not having money. So by this education loan concept, everybody can, if you secure the admission, you can get the loan, and you can then go to, graduation. You can do graduation, you can do post graduation. So this our tribes, they took a lot of, advantages from the government. Their quota is fixed in the jobs, government jobs. Then for admissions in the college also, some quota is, fixed. If your marks are if you are not, selected through merit, and if you are applied on the basis of your, this quota, then you used to get admission in good engineering, medical engineering, other, professional degree courses admission. There is some quota was, fixed for scheduled tribe. Then there were, poor literacy rates among these tribes. Then health also, they were not taking care of their health. And women and children face additional, these women were facing additional, disadvantages. Similarly, children were also facing additional disadvantage. So it is after nationalization of banks only, government started, doing the betterment of the district, and they started giving loans to scheduled caste, scheduled tribe people, for if they are jobless, there for any activity. Then next is, economic exploitation. Tribals often sell forest and agriculture products at low prices due to middlemen. Now, they are not qualified. They will send the crop through a middleman, and the price which they will get will be very less. So, in now these days, whatever is the market price, one has to, set, and one has to sell it in that price, only. And next is infrastructural deprivation. Poor access to roads, markets and basic services increase costs and hinders travel development. But now that is not the case. You will see that the roads, there is a lot of, improvement in construction of roads. In every area, this in Delhi, say for example, development is done by DDA, so they are making markets, basic services. They are giving to the, uh, people who purchase, their flats. The next is displacement. Development projects like, dams and mines displaced tribes, causing loss of land, resources, and social structures. This displacement often results in adverse incorporation, pushing tribes further into, poverty. Social exclusion. Tribes are, excluded from decision-making processes, reducing their opportunities for socio, economic progress. Way forward. To improve tribal livelihoods, government policies must focus on enhancing access to resources, ensuring tribal rights to land and forest, inclusive, development, integrating tribes into mainstream society while respecting their culture, empowering communities, strengthening tribal political participation and decision-making capabilities. Tribes and forest, challenges and impact. Dependence on forest, they depend on forest. Tribal communities rely heavily on forests for their livelihood and sustenance. Forests provide food, timber for construction and tools, fuel wood, medicines, and resources for household, needs. Key contributions include food, leaves, fruits, tubers, wild berries, and honey supplement their diet, especially during, droughts. When there is a drought, So these fruits, then tubers, wild berries, and honey supplement their diet. Next is income. Sale of forest product like bamboo, tendu leaves, and nuts form a significant income source. Now, what is the income source? You see, they will, you see, cut wood. They will sell off, you see, forest products like bamboo. They will sell bamboo, tendu leaves. They will sell, and nuts. You see, from a significant income, you see, source. So these three things form a significant source of income for tribes. The next is tools and, you see, medicine. Bamboo and timber are used for fishing and agriculture tools, while herbs serve as traditional, you see, medicines. Colonial laws such as the Indian Forest Act of 1927 restricted, you see, tribal access to forest. Key changes, you see, included land reclassification. Forests were reserved or protected, limiting tribal rights. Shifting cultivation, you see, ban. This traditional practice was, you see, labeled destructive and outlawed. Increased policing. Forest officials enforced strict laws, often criminalizing, you see, uh, minor breaches. Now, post independence, you see, continuation. Before the country got dependence, you see, before that, post independence policies continued colonial practices, emphasizing emphasizing industrialization, you see, and urbanization. Post independence policies continued colonial practices, you see, emphasizing industrialization and, you see, urbanization. Development projects such as dams, mines, and industries led to, you see, mass displacement. Over 10, you see, million tribals were displaced, losing their homes and livelihoods. So 10 million tribals, you see, were displaced, losing their homes and livelihoods. Exploitation, land acquisition for private companies displaced, you see, communities, often without proper rehabilitation. Pre-independence challenges, tribal alienation from land and forest began during colonial rule. They face debt cycles, lack of resources, forced them into debt with moneylenders. Land loss, many became bonded laborers or tenants due to high taxes and exploitation. Revolts, tribals often resisted, demanding land rights and, you see, lower taxes. Post independence issues. What are the post independence issues? Dependent projects exacerbated tribal marginalization. Key issues included industrial exploitation, mining, and infrastructure projects displaced, you see, tribals without adequate compensation. Now, industrial exploitation, mining, and infrastructure projects, they displaced tribals without adequate compensation. No adequate compensation was not awarded to them. Environmental degradation, deforestation eroded their survival base, forcing migration to urban areas for low, you see, paying jobs. Gender impact, women bore the brunt, struggling to meet household needs amid dwelling, you see, resources. Globalization and modern, you see, exploitation. Globalization has accelerated, you see, tribal alienation through land transfers. Tribal lands have been, you see, acquired by private companies for mining, tourism, and industrial projects, you see. So they give them compensation also to tribes. They give them money also. increased displacement, large scale, you see, evictions for corporate interest have, you see, pushed tribals into poverty. Next is resistance and current scenario. What is the current scenario? How well are the tribals now? Now, tribals continue to resist land alienation and exploitation, especially in resource rich regions. Moist movements highlight protests against displacement. Tribals demand rights over their traditional, you see, lands. Volatile regions conflicts are, you see, most pronounced in areas rich in minerals and forest. While some tribal communities, you see, benefit from welfare schemes, most remain deprived of traditional livelihoods, leading to widespread discontentment. Regulations and tribal resistance, growing environmental awareness and tribal deprivation, increased focus on environmental issues such as forest depletion has highlighted the growing conflict between tribal communities and the state. Tribals face restrictions on access to forests and their resources, leading to tensions and deprivation of their traditional rights. Regulations and, you see, tribal resistance, early resistance and social, you see, movements. Tribals revolts against forest policies date back to colonial times. For example, Aggarwal and Kumar movements 1913 to 1921. These movements, you see, were done in 1913 and it ended in 1921. These uprisings sparked by forest reservation policies coincided with India's first non-cooperation movement. They forced the government to de-reserve certain, you see, forests. Sporadic, you see, forest movement in regions like Tehri Garhwal, tribal communities resisted alienation from forest, highlighting their struggle to maintain, you see, traditional ownership and access. Alienation from forest resources, the state's control over forest disrupted the traditional relationship between tribal communities and their, you see, natural resources. Policies such as the creation of village forest allowed limited use but failed to restore community ownership, deepening the sense of alienation. This separation is, you see, linked to Karl Marx's idea of the disconnection between producers and the means of production. Emerging struggles, land and gender. You see, women's fight for land rights. A significant aspect of contemporary tribal struggles involve women fighting for land ownership. HO Community 1987 studies revealed that increased male control over income and land worsened exploitation of Ho women, despite their substantial contributions to livelihoods. Santals in Bihar, supported by men from their community, tribal women launched campaigns to assert their right to land. Militant struggles for land and forest rights, ongoing tribal unrest. Tribal unrest persists across regions such as Uttarakhand, Jharkhand, and Western India. Movements focus on regaining community control over land and forests, which have, you see, been increasingly exploited. Ongoing tribal unrest, state response. The government has often responded with repression, deploying armed forces and empowering the forest department and police. For example, firing, a violent crackdown on tribal protests, highlighted the state's tendency to suppress movements with force. Now we come on, you see, next unit, that is unit 4 is caste. You must have, you see, seen talking with your friends, you belong to which caste, you belong to which caste. Now, introduction to the caste system. The caste system is a form of social stratification deeply embedded in Indian society. It ranks individuals based on birth and governs various aspects of life, such as occupation, you see, marriage, and social interactions. This system follows specific norms, values, and sanctions that regulate social behavior within caste. Sociologist M.N. Srinivas defines caste locally referred to as jati as a hereditary endogamous group associated with specific occupations and a particular position in the local social hierarchy. Relations between castes are influenced by the concepts of purity and you see population. Next is introduction of the caste system. While the theoretical framework of caste draws from the ancient Varna system, its real world functioning often varies. The Varna system originating in the Vedic period divided society into four groups: Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras. Who are Brahmins? Priests and scholars. Who are Kshatriyas? Rurals and you see rulers and warriors. Who are Vaishyas? Traders and merchants, you see, doing business. Shudras, servants and you see laborers. They are Shudras. Next is you see features of the caste system. Now, what are the features of the caste system? First feature is segmental division of society. Society is divided into fixed castes, and membership is determined by birth. You see, whenever a child takes birth, so his caste is there. Not individual achievements. This ascribed status remains unchanged throughout a person's life. Hierarchy, castes are arranged in a strict social and ritual hierarchy where the Brahmins, you see, are at the top due to their, you see, ritual purity, and untouchables occupy the lowest position. Intermediate positions are held by Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, creating a graded, you see, social order. Next is features of the caste system, restrictions on food and social interaction. Rules govern, you see, food exchange and social interactions between castes. Compulsality. Brahmins may accept pakka food prepared in ghee from other communities, but not kacha food prescribed in water. Revolution rates, pollution, you see, rules. Social interactions are restricted to preserve the concept of ritual purity. Again, features of the caste system, civil and religious disabilities. The ideology of purity and pollution creates privileges and disabilities. Impure castes face social exclusion, such as restricted access to public roads, wells, and temples. Rituals, customs, and taboos preserve the ceremonial, you see, purity of higher rates. Features of the caste system, you see, marriage restrictions. Caste endogamy is a defining feature where individuals marry within own caste or subcaste. For example, Aggarwal marriage will take place in Aggarwal, Jain marriage will take place in Jain, like this. So caste endogamy is a defining feature where individuals marry within their own caste or subcaste. Rare exceptions like hypergamy, upper caste men marrying lower caste women exist in some you see regions. Occupational restrictions. Traditionally, each caste was tied to a specific, occupation with rankings based on the purity or population of the work. Brahmins, performed sacred duties. Lower castes were engaged in occupations considered impure or, menial. Regional variations in the caste system. The caste system functions differently across regions. Caste ranking, marriage rules, and customs, vary locally. Caste dominance can shift based on regional, factors. Role of caste panchayats. Each caste had its own council to resolve grievances and enforce norms. So each caste had its own, panchayat, its own council panchayat. People belong to one caste. If they are having any, problem, they will report to the panchayat. There, they will give them solutions. Led by elders. Now, who is, leading the panchayats? It is led by elders, our seniors. These councils upheld caste rules. Members who violated caste restrictions could face excommunication. These caste-specific councils were distinct from village panchayats, which served all villagers irrespective of source, irrespective of caste. Theoretical approaches to understanding caste. The caste system has been analyzed through different theoretical frameworks. Two major approaches, the attributional approach and the interactional approach, provide insights into its characteristics and dynamics. Attribution approach, this approach defines caste by its inherent and imputable, characteristics. Scholars like G.S. Gray and G.H. Hutton focus on caste essential features such as hierarchy, endogamy, and occupational restrictions. Key features are endogamy, identified by Hutton as the central feature around which other restrictions and taboos are formed. Food restrictions, taboos on accepting cooked food from other castes reflect, purity concerns. Interactional approach. This approach examines how castes interact and are ranked in specific local, contests. Key concepts: hierarchy and segregation. Bailey emphasized that caste rankings are, shaped by both ritual, religious, and secular, economic, political hierarchies. Local context, changes in land ownership and power, such as in post-independence, busy para, Orissa, impacted caste rankings and food sharing practices. Now, contributions. Marriott highlighted the overlap between ritual, economic, and political hierarchies in caste rankings. Louis Dumont proposed that hierarchy is the core value of caste, integrating Hindu society. Sociologists debate whether caste is a cultural or structural phenomena. Cultural view. Caste is an autonomous cultural system with institutionalized, inequality and ritual purity as its foundation. Structural view. Caste is part of India's, broader social stratification and may evolve or coexist with other systems like class. Investment versus particularistic, views. Some scholars see caste as unique to India. Particularistic. Others argue if shares universal feature with other stratification systems. Now, caste and class. You see, caste and class overlap in India, but their relationship has evolved. Traditionally, caste and class were aligned with caste dictating socio-economic status. Modernization and urbanization have enabled mobility, allowing individuals to achieve class positions independent of caste. However, castle often influences power structures, particularly in land ownership and politics. Caste and class studies are done by Yogendra Singh, observed that class is often subsumed by caste in India. Next is Andre Vitale found a dynamic relationship between caste and class in South India with increasing dissociation in modern times. The Jagmani system is a traditional system of interdependence between casteless based on occupation and services. Structure, patron caste, Jagmans, land owning higher caste, that is Rajputs, Brahmins, service caste, Kamins, occupational based lower caste, that is barbers, carpenters. Services were hereditary and paid in kind, grains, clothes, rather than cash. Relationships were permanent and defined by mutual dependence. Changes in modern times, decline due to urbanization. Rural areas, they are becoming urban. Similarly, semi-urban are also going towards urban. Decline due to urbanization, caste economy, and modern education. Occupational castes have moved to cities seeking new opportunities. The water system has, almost disappointed with payments now made in cash. Key study was done by William Weiser, introduced the concept through his work, the Hindu Jagmani system, based on a village in UP. Change and continuity in the caste system. The caste system is traditionally viewed as a rigid and close form of social stratification. With limited mobility. However, social mobility has been an important and dynamic feature of the caste system, indicating flexibility in its structure and function. Social mobility and Sanskriti session, a concept developed by Evan Shri Nivas, describes how lower castes emulate the customs, rituals, and lifestyles of higher castes, particularly Brahmins, to move upward in the caste hierarchy. Example, the adoption of vegetarianism by lower caste challenges hostility from higher caste when lower caste attempt upward mobility. Westernization, westernization driven by British influence, brought cultural and institutional changes such as modern education, scientific advancements, and political ideologies. Impact, adoption of Western lifestyles by higher castes, furthering social mobility. Now, impact of industrialization and urbanization. Now more and more industries are coming in our country. The rural areas are shifting towards, you see, urban, and similarly semi-urban, they are becoming urban. So industrialization, whenever there is industrialization, there is new occupation, new jobs, you see, new occupations. Industrialization, you see, create ritually neutral jobs accessible to all castes, you see. Breaking rituals, workers from different castes work together, reducing caste-based taboos on food sharing and interaction. Urbanization, city life, you see, urban anonymity and, you see, mobility weakened caste practices, changes in respect, you see, migration of Brahmins to towns led to reduced adherence to traditional, you see, hierarchies. If suppose the temple is, you see, at a place where nearby there are a lot of, you see, disciples, naturally many people will visit the temple, you see. If few people are there, few people will visit the temple, you see. So urbanization, city life, urban anonymity and mobility weakened, you see, caste practices. Changes in respect, migration of Brahmins to towns led to reduced adherence to, you see, traditional hierarchies. Legal and social reforms, laws and policies, abolition of, you see, untouchability, scheduled caste and scheduled tribe, you see, Prevention of Atrocities Act 1989. The, so we were at laws and policies, you see, abolition of untouchability 1950, scheduled caste and scheduled tribe, Prevention of Atrocities Act 1989, Special Marriage Act 1954 and Hindu Marriage Act 1955, legalizing intercaste marriages. So intercaste marriages are also legalized in our, you see, country by this Hindu Marriage Act 1955 and Special Marriage Act 1954. There are two acts. One is Special Marriage Act 1954 and the second is Hindu Marriage Act 1955. Modernization, spread of education, socio-religious movements and economic reforms weakened caste-based, you see, policies. You see, friends, you see, after this independence, you see, government did many things. You see, they nationalized the banks during Indira Gandhi's regime. The result of nationalization was, you see, banks were, prior to that, banks were owned by Tata, Birla, all rich people. They used to entertain only rich people. But after nationalization, you see, banks became of the government and, you see, banks started giving service to poor people. You see, banks started giving loans to, you see, agriculture, direct, indirect, small scale industries, then retail trade, small business, professional self-employed, education loan, then loan for exports, loan for imports, then bill purchase, bill discounting, all these, you see. So post-independence changes are, you see, we have made the laws and policies, you see. So abolition of untouchability, you see, 1959 we made the law and, you see, untouchability was abolished. Scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, you see, Prevention of Atrocities Act 1989, then Special Marriage Act 1954 and Hindu Marriage Act 1955, belonging intercaste, you see, marriages. If anybody, you see, needs this, they can, you see, just note these. Then modernization, spread of, you see, education, socio-religious movements and economic reforms weakened caste-based, you see, practices. Now next is urbanization, city life. You see, urban anonymity and mobility weakened, you see, caste practices, changes in respect, migration of Brahmins to towns led to reduced adherence to traditional hierarchies. Next is legal and social reforms, abolition of untouchability 1950, scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, prevention of Atrocities Act 1989, Special Marriage Act 1954, and Hindu Marriage Act 1955, legalizing intercaste marriages, modernization, spread of education, socio-religious movements, and economic reforms, weakened, you see, caste-based practices. This slide was repeated. Next is intercaste marriages. Yes, you see, that is now presently, you see, many inter-caste marriages are taking place in our country. You see, young boys, when they start earning, they are choosing their partners themselves. So factors, what are the factors of intercaste marriages? Co-education. When boys and, you see, girls, they study together, there are chances of love marriage, intercaste marriages. Then working together, and legal reforms have increased intercaste and, you see, love marriages. Caste and politics. Political dominance. A caste becomes dominant through numerical strength and economic political influence. Caste in electoral politics, democratic process like Panchayati Raj and adult franchise, you see, made caste a key factor in political mobilization. Political parties often field candidates based on caste identity to secure votes. Suppose in one, you see, area, colony, one particular caste, you see, people live. So any political party, you see, they will, their staff also will belong to that community. So bank will send, you see, that community people only to that area, so that they will get business. You see, if you meet a person from your community, naturally, you see, you will talk more with him. So political dominance is a caste become dominant through numerical strength and economic political influence. M.N. Srinivas said this. Caste in electoral, you see, politics. Democratic process like, you see, Panchayati Raj and adult franchise made caste a key factor in political mobilization. Political parties often field candidates based on caste identity to secure, you see, votes. The reason is, suppose some Muslim area is there, they will, you see, give ticket to the Muslim fellow there, so he chance of his winning will be more. Measures to prohibit caste discrimination, constitutional provisions, equality and, you see, liberty, fundamental rights guaranteed by the Constitution prohibit caste discrimination, reservation quotas for scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, and OBCs in education, jobs, and, you see, politics. Special provisions under Articles 15.4, 16.4, and Article 46. Measures to prohibit, you see, caste discrimination, legislative measures, untouchability, Offences Act 1955, renamed Protection of Civil Rights Act 1976, Prohibition of Employment as, you see, Manual Scavengers Act 2013. Now, manual scavengers, you see, those people in olden days, which they used to, you see, clean the bathroom toilets, they used to clean the toilets and take away the, you see, dirt on their head. They used to, you see, they used to have a tokery and they used to take the, you see, dirt. Now that manual scavengers, you see, now that work is not done by them. The government is giving them money to do some other, you see, job, change their, you see, jobs. So this was prohibited. Employment as Manual Scavenger Act, you see, 2013. Then continuity, caste persists as a social institution, especially in rural areas, influencing marriage, birth, and death practices. In urban areas, caste operates through interest, network, and class, you see, groups. Transformation, loss of traditional functions like purity, population, rituals. Emergence of caste as an identity group, adopting to new social, economic, and political, you see, realities. Now, the conclusion is the caste system in India has undergone significant changes. You see, while retaining some traditional elements, it persists as a dynamic and evolving institution, reflecting both continuity and adaptability to modern, you see, societal changes. So we were there in this particular we studied, you see, measures to prohibit caste discrimination, measures were constitutional provisions, equality and liberty, fundamental rights guaranteed by the constitution prohibit caste discrimination. Then reservation quotas for SC, STs and OBCs in education, jobs and politics is, you see, there. In politics also it is there, you see. Political parties, they make, you see, their ministers, those who are belong to OBC, those who are belong to SC, those who are belong to ST. So they will go to, you see, their constituencies, and there they will, you see, uh, tell to the people that I belong to this community. So that party gets the, you see, this benefited, you see, people vote for them. So that they will tell that I am one among you, you see, special provisions under Articles 15(4), 64 and 46. Then legislative, you see, measures, Untouchability Act 1955, renamed Protection of Civil Rights Act 1976. Earlier it was Untouchability Offences Act 1959. Now the name is changed. It has become, you see, Protection of Civil Rights Act 1976. Then Provision of Employment as Manual Swingers Act 2013. Now nobody can employ a person as manual swinger because they have made the act. The government has made the act 2013. Now, what is manual swinger? Manual swingers, you see, these people who used to, in olden days, who used to clean the, you see, toilets and whatever is the dirt, they used to carry in a basket over their head. Because drainage system, you see, such the drainage system which is there now never used to be there, you see. In villages, semi-urban areas, you see, urban areas also, in metropolitan, of course, it was there. So, government, you see, asked scavengers, they have stopped their work. You see, government is giving them, you see, aid, subsidy. Government doesn't want that. You see, they should go, manual scavengers, they should go to house and, you see, collect that dirt on their, you see, in a basket on their head. Next is continuity. Caste persists as a social institution, especially in rural areas, influencing marriage, birth, and death practices. In urban areas, caste operates through interest networks and, you see, class groups. Transformation, loss of traditional functions like purity, pollution, you see, rituals. Emergence of caste as an identity group, adapting to new social, economic, and political realities. Then we are at the conclusion. The caste system in our country has undergone, you see, significant changes. While, you see, retaining some traditional elements, you see, they are retained. It persists as a dynamic, you see, and evolving institution reflecting both continuity and adaptability to modern societal changes. So, students, we are finishing this